Why was the Gospel of Thomas really not included in the Bible? Let's talk about that. Indeed, the Gospel of Thomas was never included in the Bible because the church did not accept it. But why did the church not accept it? Supposedly, it contains controversial material that early church leaders did not agree with. Early church leaders considered the Gospel of Thomas to be a fiction, as if donkeys that talk, snakes that talk, virgins that give birth, people born without mothers or fathers, resurrection from the dead, 300-mile-long underwater fire-breathing dragons are meant to be taken literal, but yet the Gospel of Thomas is supposed to be the fiction. So what exactly did the early Christian leaders disagree with about the Gospel of Thomas? The thing early church leaders really despise about the Gospel of Thomas is that the Gospel of Thomas is basically the secret teachings of Jesus. Jesus telling you that you don't need religion. You don't need a middleman. You don't need someone with fictional authority over you. Your relationship with God is a personal relationship, and there is nothing else necessary for you to communicate and walk with God in your daily life. I'm sure you can see where that's a problem for church leaders trying to turn a buck for the gospel. Let's talk about a couple of quotes from the Gospel of Thomas. According to the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus says, quote, "Split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and there you will find me." End quote. The reason church leaders don't like language like that is because it tells you that God is everywhere. God is in every atom, molecule, subatomic particle. God is in your very being. God is in the air you breathe. God does not have an address that you have to go to speak with a man with fictional authority over you to make you achieve some kind of a better relationship with God. Because the truth is that you can receive the most optimal achievement with God that is even possible right from where you are sitting. That's just one of the quotes from Jesus out of the Gospel of Thomas. Let's look at another one. Jesus said, quote, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." What this is basically saying is that it's up to you. If you want to have a closer communion with God in your daily life, you have to do this. You have to get serious, and you have to be real and honest with yourself and say, look, I am not my ego. I am not my false identity. I am not the program that I have been programmed to think, feel, and believe my whole life. It's telling you that the light of Christ is within you, and only if you bring that light forward can you be saved. That light will dispel the darkness of false identity and egotism, the programming that is all around us. We will be able to see through it. We will be able to see through our false identity. We will be able to commune with God more closely on a daily basis. Now, on the other hand, if we don't choose to bring that light of divinity forward to the forefront of our mind rather than the ego and false identity, then we will continue to be misled. We will continue to walk in darkness. We will continue to live by program. Either way, it's completely up to you. You don't need a middleman or some fictional authority to tell you what, when, and how to do something. And that's what the church leaders did not like about the Gospel of Thomas. According to the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, "Those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. And when they do find, they will be disturbed." Of course you're going to be disturbed. Your whole world is going to be changed. You're going to finally come to the understanding that you've been living your life through a false identity that you thought was really you, and that you thought was going to live on forever, and that you thought that this identity that you have created throughout your existence and all these programs, you're finally going to realize that they are nothing. Jesus then goes on to say, "When they are disturbed, they will marvel, and then they will reign over all." So at first, you will be disturbed. You'll be disturbed because you'll realize finally that your whole life has been nothing but a false identity, a program that you've been living from the very beginning. Second, you'll go into the phase of marvel. You'll be in awe of this new concept, this new perspective you have, this new understanding of universal Christ consciousness that exists all around you and always has, but you didn't realize it until now. And thirdly, once you have a grasp on this understanding, understanding and communication with Christ consciousness, you will reign over all. What that means is that you'll be able to step back and look at the world through a new perspective. You will not be tangled up in the game of emotion and ideas and concepts. People won't be able to trigger you. Religion won't be able to trigger you. Politics won't be able to trigger you. Insults won't be able to trigger you, because you no longer identify with that false self, that false identity, the ego. You come from a place of pure Christ consciousness. You reign supreme over them because they are still in that world of false identity and ego. Remember when God said, "For behold, the man is become as one of us, knowing good from evil." You see, most people have a false concept of what good and evil is. They don't understand the difference between the light and the dark. Most people who claim to have a relationship with God are so entangled in this world of egotism. They're so attached to their false program. They're so attached to their false identity. They fight and they bicker and they have such hatred towards other people and other races. It's just, they are still walking in darkness. They have no concept of what good and evil really is, because good is the light. Evil is the ego, the false identity. And they are still reveling in that false identity and that ego and bickering back and forth. They do not know, they have not become as God, knowing good from evil. So this is why the early church leaders do not like the Gospel of Thomas, because the Gospel of Thomas helps set you free. It is something meant to liberate you rather than to keep you in bondage. And once you know this, you know enough. I hope this has been edifying for someone. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit like, feel free to comment, stay blessed.